This week on Healthy Living, young people worldwide suffer from sleep disorders. We'll see why. An expert discusses how insomnia affects our health and what we can do for a good night's sleep. And researchers in New York have found a possible link to sudden death syndrome in children. Plus, communities in Eswatini seek solutions for the lack of clean water. These stories and more in this edition of Healthy Living. Hello, I'm Linor Moudou. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Healthy Living. Sleep plays a critical role in many aspects of our lives, but get this, sleep disorders are increasingly becoming a concern among young adults across the globe, including in Africa. According to a study published in the Journal of Sleep Disorders and Therapy, young people experience a lack of good sleep in developed countries for reasons such as advanced technologies and entertainment. The research reveals that in the African region, academic performance, the economy, and mental health are some of the factors that affect young people's quality of sleep, and insomnia is the main sleep disorder they experience. According to US-based Cleveland Clinic, about 10% of the world population experience insomnia, which qualifies as a medical condition. Insomnia is a difficulty falling or staying asleep. Experts say, among other things, insomnia can cause daytime sleepiness, lack of energy, and sleep deprivation can increase the risk of issues such as stroke and obesity. We wanted to know if a lack of sleep could affect your mood or productivity and how you tackle insomnia. Here are some reactions from Nigeria.
When you don't get enough sleep at night, 7 to 8 hours, you don't wake up sound the next day. But once you have that 7 to 8 hours sleep daily, once you wake up very smart, you go ahead with your daily activities. At my quiet time, I come to the lake to sit down. It's a therapy for me. So whatever I'm going through, once I'm here, it eases up my tension and stress.
When I don't sleep the previous day, I usually go to work feeling extremely weak. I usually take some measures such as avoiding any form of stimulants that might keep me awake till the next morning.
When you don't sleep at night, you have constant headaches. Also, you'll be feeling dizzy during the day. And unless you sleep that sleep, you have the sleep before you'll be able to have yourself comfortable, because normally you can't cheat nature. How I personally fight insomnia? Just sleep. At least you're meant to have up to 6 to 8 hours of sleep every day. That's how you know that you're having a very good sleep.
Actually, the lack of sleep affects me health-wise. I feel fatigue in the next day. Whenever I never had any sleep, you understand. The next day I always have serious fatigue. I find it difficult, you understand, to execute my day-to-day activities. Some 3 years back, I recall during the COVID, after the COVID era, I had to be hospitalized for almost a week due to lack of sleep. It affects me both mentally, morally, you understand. The whole day I will feel not myself at all.
If I'm able to get enough sleep, I always find it very difficult to feel very okay, more especially during the working hours. And basically, sometimes I do have headache. If I don't get at least minimum of 6 hours sleep in a day. Sometimes if I take black tea, it makes me not to sleep. So I try to avoid such things. Anything that contains caffeine, I don't take it in the night. So basically, as a Muslim, when I go to bed 10:30, 11, I wake up by 4:30, 5. I pray up to 6:30 before I go back to bed for 2 hours. The basic thing that I normally do is for me to have a very conducive environment, more especially where I could have AC, an environment that is quiet, that I don't get much disturbance. I get good sleep, and with peace of mind at the same time.
Dr. David Kuhlmann is a spokesperson for the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and medical director of sleep medicine at Bothwell Regional Health Center. He discusses what causes insomnia and shares some tips for a good night's sleep.
Well, there isn't one primary cause of insomnia. It can be caused by a lot of different things like stress, other sleep disorders, medical problems, medication use or abuse, environmental factors. As far as how is it's diagnosed, we can have separated between acute and chronic insomnia. If it's less than 3 months, happening about 3 times per week or more, of difficulty falling or staying asleep despite adequate sleep opportunity, then we view it more as just short term and not necessarily a chronic condition. Once it reaches that 3 month point, though, it's really important to kind of try to nip in the bud and kind of come talk to somebody, see if we can figure out, what's causing it and hopefully get it treated. I think when I'm looking for, how to treat insomnia, I'm looking for, okay, what is causing the insomnia? And so if it's a sleep disorder, I certainly would want that to be looked at in an accredited sleep center, looking for underlying sleep-related breathing or movement disorders. For example, if the insomnia is caused by restless leg syndrome, which is a pretty frequent cause of insomnia, people they can't keep their legs still at night. Well, I'd want to look for like iron deficiency and maybe check to see start on medical treatment for that. The upside to sleeping pills, especially short term, is they may help you that night, they help you that week or that month. Over time, they tend to lose their effectiveness or tend to require higher dosages or dependence. So they can be helpful to an extent. In fact, I'll sometimes use them short term to kind of like break in an insomnia cycle. But what I also like to say is that the goal of sleep is not to be knocked out, but to wake up and feel good. And those medications, they may knock you out, but then if you wake up feeling the same or worse, then what has that accomplished? So it's really kind of covering the symptoms, really cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, understanding sleep. People think that good sleep is they fall asleep the moment their head hits the pillow, they stay asleep throughout the night. And that's just not realistic. That's not really how it works. I mean, it should take 15, 30 minutes to fall asleep. It is pretty normal to have an awakening or two during the night. I think that the focus should be on, if you are kind of having difficulty with falling or staying asleep, one thing you should think about is, how is it impacting me the next day, or is it impacting me the next day? What I recommend for insomnia who have been having a little bit of problems, I ask them to write in a journal for 15 minutes before bed. That act of writing a problem down, even if it's something that you can't do anything about, helps to make it more concrete. So you're not perseverating on it, not thinking about it over and over as you're trying to sleep.
Sudden death syndrome among children, a rare and devastating occurrence, affects nearly 400 families in the U.S. annually. In a breakthrough study by New York University, there is newfound hope of uncovering the cause behind some of these tragic losses. Aaron Rainen brings us the report from New York.
The Began family is one of many grappling with the inexplicable loss of a child. Their daughter, Rosie, passed away at the age of 2.
Rosie was so full of life. She was just a very happy little girl. She was joking all the time. She loved being around her family.
Yeah, I mean, she was our world. Like, our entire life revolved around her.
What began as an ordinary family evening ended in tragedy with the discovery of Rosie's lifeless body early the next morning.
For some reason, I just went into her room just to check on her, and I just noticed she was really still. I put my hand on her back, and that's sort of when everything unraveled. I noticed that she was unresponsive, and we immediately rushed to the hospital.
Despite rushing her to the hospital, doctors couldn't determine the cause of Rosie's sudden passing.
The medical examiner contacted us, within a day or two, and of course, their initial findings yielded nothing.
Amidst every parent's worst nightmare, the Began family sought answers. A clue came from a recent New York University study in which the Begans agreed to participate. Researchers scrutinized bedroom camera footage of Rosie and several other children, uncovering a potential cause of their premature demise, a brief set of seizures.
All 5 of the continuously videoed recordings showed a convulsive event prior to the video evidence that we had where no signs of life no longer existed. We saw that the convulsions were short, they were less than a minute. That was eye-opening and shocking to everyone involved.
Laura Gould is leading this NYU research. She tragically lost her own daughter to the same medical condition at 15 months.
When a child dies, it is your worst nightmare as a parent. And so you are so incredibly vulnerable in that period. But then to be called the next day and say, we didn't find anything wrong with her. There's just not a word for it. And trying to think about living life without ever knowing put me on this path.
The seizures observed in the video camera recordings, along with the autopsy results, could contribute to a deeper understanding and potentially prevent similar tragedies.
Is there something that we can study from those autopsy specimens to identify what is different about those children? And then we can use that to understand what risk factors and identify those children at risk. And that is why these crib camera videos that we've been able to collect have been such a remarkable piece of evidence in piecing together this story.
With the increasing prevalence of video cameras in children's bedrooms, there is a glimmer of hope that the true causes of these unexplained deaths may eventually emerge. Aaron Rainin, VOA News, New York City.
25% of Eswatini's rural communities lack clean drinking water, according to the charity WaterAid, and another 40% of these communities do not have access to water. Nokukanya Musi has the story from Mapungwane in the Lumbombo region.
Every day, Jabu Gamete makes a 2-kilometer trek to Kuhlmann River, the only water source near a home in Mapungwane in the Lubombo region of Eswatini. Although the water is contaminated and her route is dangerous, with risks of theft and sexual assault, she says she has no other choice.
As the seasons grow hotter and drier, the water we rely on is becoming scarcer. The well that has sustained us for so long is starting to run dry, and our future hangs in the balance.
According to the United Nations, the annual mean temperatures in Eswatini have increased by more than 3 degrees Celsius between 1961 and 2000. These shifts have led to the decreased stream flows in primary river basins and heightened instances of waterborne diseases.
We must wake up early to fetch water before going to school, negatively impacting our studies. By the time we arrive at school, we're already tired and often fall asleep in class.
Our children are sick and our water is unclean. We have no other choice but to drink it, even though we know it will make us ill.
International aid agencies such as WaterAid and World Vision International are working to address the water crises in Eswatini by funding the construction of water filtering systems and new wells, as well as improvements to sanitation facilities. The Italian aid agency Corporation for the Development of Emerging Countries, or COSPE, is collaborating with the people of Mapungwane in the construction of a new water filtration system set to be unveiled soon.
They raise their own issues, identify the problems affecting them as a result of climate change, and they also come out with some proposed solutions on how they can adapt.
In 2023, the Eswatini government allocated funds to improve water supply schemes, which will benefit over 41,000 people. Nokukanya Musi, VOA News, Mapungwane, Eswatini.
That's our show for today. For more health news, wellness tips, and medical breakthroughs, stay connected to Voice of America at voaafrica.com. You can follow me on X at @linochmudu. Until next time, stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.